Okay, welcome everybody. I think we'll get going here. Super excited to be here with you today. Wanted to first kick off by thanking Sports Techie for hosting, for having us on this panel, and what is already a great cast of content to date. I am confident that our group today will contribute to that great content as we move forward here. It has been a wild year and a half in sports and entertainment, to say the least, and I think what our group here today can help you do is understand what exactly that means through their eyes, and maybe more specifically how, in many instances, they have leaned into these difficult times to take a meaningful step forward for their business. I am joined by Christina and John, and I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves and maybe describe the scope of your role and give us a taste of what the last 18 months has looked like for you. So maybe Christina, if you don't mind, we'll start with you.
Hi, thanks, Galen. Hi, John. I'm Christina Litz. I'm the Chief Brand and Commercial Officer here at True North Sports and Entertainment in Winnipeg. I'm actually new to this role, not new to Winnipeg, back after 20 years in Toronto. My portfolio includes all revenue, commercial, sponsorship, marketing, content, digital. So happy to be here.
Galen, Christina, hello. Sports Techie folks, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm John Trzynski, Vice President of Marketing with the Montreal Canadiens. I've actually been here in Montreal with the Canadiens since 2002, so it's been a little while, to say the least. Having kind of moved up through the organization, initially started overseeing the website and the web properties at the time, having moved over from Major League Baseball Advanced Media, where I worked with the Expos when they were here. And today, oversee a lot of the brand integration, working with partners, working on obviously brand campaigns, game production, content strategy with a big team here, merch. So kind of everything that has our logo on it in some capacity, I'm involved in some way, probably.
I mean, obviously, representing a team that had an unbelievable run to the Stanley Cup last year, inside of difficult business climate. Tell us a little bit about from your seat. What did you have to contend with over the last year or so?
I mean, I think like anyone in our business and our space, it was all about adaptation. So kind of looking at how we were connecting with fans, consumers when they were stuck at home, when we were stuck at home, working from home, consuming from home. So we really, I think, hopefully profited from an experience standpoint over the past year to kind of ramp up everything we were doing on the digital front to ensure that we were better positioned to reach fans everywhere as opposed to within the four walls of the Bell Center here in Montreal. So we had already been kind of taking that approach and trying to bring partnerships and activate beyond the Bell Center. But COVID and the pandemic simply shifted everything into hyperspeed for us. That included looking at opportunities in the digital space like NFTs.
Super excited to dig into that, and I know we will as we progress here. While we have been challenged and beat down in so many different ways, across our business, as so much went on pause or our teams played elsewhere, we've also had the chance, John, as you said, to lean in a little bit more in a focused way to our data strategies and looking at technology as enablers to our business, really to discover new opportunities or accelerate existing ones. Blockchain, crypto, NFTs, as you mentioned, John, have arrived and captured the attention of leagues, teams, fans, and enthusiasts at large, including yourselves. Maybe Christina, starting with you, tell us about your entry or your near entry into the NFT space, and what ultimately drove you to go down that road.
Like a lot of people, whether sports teams or leagues, are trying to figure out where the space is going. And so I would say from the Winnipeg Jets perspective and True North, it's been a little bit of sit back and watch all of you try some things before we got into the market. And that's precisely what we did. We weren't sure if this was going to be something that was, essentially a trendy passing fad. But I think we're at the point now where we are seeing that fans, sports fans, and collectors generally are seeing value in this space, and certainly we want to be where our fans are, whether they are coming to us new or already in our ecosystem. And so the time felt right, and again, we've been learning, from John and his team and you guys at MLSC on what's been working and where we should fit into the space. So we're just about to go live with our own project, and just seemed like the right time to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And John, similar question, if not the same for you, but just even an added thought or context. I mean, everything that we've faced over the last year and a half has been new. We might strive for similar outcomes, but the path to get there has been new and challenged our organization in meaningful ways. Taking on a net new activity that you didn't have to do, is something that could easily be pushed aside. So as you look at it through the lens of a similar question for Christina, with everything going on, with your drive to the Stanley Cup Finals, why did it feel like the time for you to take on, this new challenge in the NFT space?
Well, to be fully transparent, when we started this process and we're looking at providers and speaking to MLSC to help us along the way, our club was not at the summit of the NHL in the standings, and while we were hoping to do well in the playoffs and make the playoffs, it was certainly unexpected. We were not a favorite to reach the Stanley Cup final heading into the playoffs. So when we were looking at kind of embarking on this, we were already anticipating what we'd be doing in the summer. And obviously, as a events-based entertainment company where there are no revenues from sold tickets and fans in the seats, we were looking at new ways to kind of optimize revenue. And clearly, we were selling some merchandise online, but beyond that, with the existing partnerships we had, what other opportunities were there? NFTs clearly were something that were emerging, we were interested in, and we thought at the first stages of it that it was going to be something that we would launch around draft time, on the heels of the playoffs. And then luckily for us, we had the run that we did, and everything kind of changed in terms of strategy of even how we would embark on this adventure, the types of content we would feature on those NFTs, and it was a happy coincidence, certainly, that we were already taking steps toward launching these and that we had the run that we did.
Yeah. I'll keep going on that, if you don't mind, just knowing that you have been in the marketplace already with your NFT platform and product. And I really want to bring it back to fan engagement and the notion of deepening your relationship with existing fans and, really charging into that notion of sort of fan growth. I'm curious, as you formulated your strategy, as you launched into the marketplace and you've had a chance to digest some of the early success, how do you see that now as a tool, or how had you planned for that to be a tool for deepening fan engagement and then potentially attracting new fans along the way?
Well, we knew from the start, based on just kind of, I would say admittedly gut feel, because there was no real playbook for this, but just gut feel and also accessibility, that we wanted this initiative to be accessible to as many people as possible. So we wanted the engagement over, I would say, necessarily swinging for the fences and hoping to kind of sell at auction an NFT like a CryptoPunks or something that would be like selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We wanted to have assets that fans from teenage to kind of senior citizens, if they want, purchase and collect, like I collected Upper Deck cards when I was younger. So we kind of saw it as being a play where minting NFTs at a fixed price with like kind of a pack model that could hopefully hit as wide an audience as possible and give people something enjoyable to engage with on our platform, and then obviously have a database to work with moving forward for purposes that we didn't even know at the time. And certainly it's kind of worked out that way. We're happy with the results of our first wave of NFTs that we released. I have a stat here that 39% of the people who registered in our database converted on buying NFTs. And that database is something that we still use to connect with, whether it's, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, offers. We'll see where it goes. And we're looking forward to the next steps with all this.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess, Christina, as I kind of look at you, knowing that we've yet to launch into the marketplace together, still imagine that you have a point of view on what this means for you in the way of kind of fan growth and engagement. What do you hope to achieve, looking back, months down the road?
Yeah, you know what? I have to admit, I don't know, and I think it's okay in this space not to know. And as you know, I think we felt that it was worth trying this to see, who came into the ecosystem. Are they local? Are they from Winnipeg? Is this more North American wide? And as long, I think if brands and teams are looking into this right now, it becomes that discussion on that ROI, and we felt that we could offer something that we think, if our own fans are in this space, they will think is really cool, and like John said, like the Upper Deck trading cards, will become a really special part of their connection to our team. So I'm hoping that is what happens, but honestly, we don't know. And I think we've seen in different trials, like, there are people who are going to buy this who have absolutely no initial connection to that team, but maybe that's the start of something. And that's really interesting too. And I think just simply being in the space, and trying things speaks to your brand, speaks to your desire and positioning to be innovative, and that is a brand quality in of itself that we aspire to. And if that brings some new folks in, I think that's great. The one thing I did want to raise, and John, I think it's so interesting, like when you're making the decisions on what that first offering is going to look like, and we had a lot of debates about this, because I think teams are seeing and being approached by all sorts of companies and experts who are telling you to put together, things that are worth $10,000 and $15,000, and we're just not there yet. I mean, not saying never say never in this space, but again, how you create this is also very reflective of your brand. So we're very intentional on pricing and what we are putting together, to ensure that as many people can participate in this space, because that's what the Winnipeg Jets are all about.
Well, and I'd say, looking through the lens of our Toronto Raptors execution, certainly inclusivity and easy to absorb, regardless of where you are in the world of, NFTs, and your understanding has been definitely a priority for us. And that notion of community and culture as a growth engine of our business and our fan base is, I think, common across all of us. And part of that means finding a way into, cultural trends or trends to technology, and feeling like we can connect and relate in new ways, but standing it up in a way that's representative of our brand. So I love that overall line of thinking. I'll add from the Raptors standpoint, and very optimistic and excited, Christina, for you as you launch to have similar results. We found nearly 50% of those who engaged in our platform were new to our overall ecosystem, which kind of leads me to my next question, which is, we all understand the value of data, if for no other reason to better understand our fans and then serve them through the various means that we engage and interact. I'm curious, as you look at this, jumping into this NFT venture or any other digital products, blockchain or not, in the future, just from an overall marketable context perspective, as data comes in, what are you doing with it, and how are you utilizing that to optimize your fan experience and your business as an overall? And maybe John, will kick off with you.
I mean, we're in the midst of an ongoing major digital transformation within our company across the board, and this is kind of obviously the central question that we are looking to answer. Is that there is so much data, there are so many databases, and I can't speak to how things are at MLSE or True North, but I assume, kind of like you within your organizations, we have ticketing databases, we have sales databases, we have marketing databases. Everything is being compiled together, relying on various providers on the back end. But we ultimately need to get to a point where I think, frankly, we're just doing more with what we have, in a more strategic manner, because we have a lot and we're not even leveraging what we have to full effect yet. Like, I want to be able to dive in and make offers to upstate Vermonters or New Yorkers to come to games, or maybe fans from Eastern Ontario or the Maritime provinces, and we're so overwhelmed, we're still catching up to kind of make sense of what we have. So everything else that's going to be opening up with blockchain technology and with the databases that we're collecting now is frankly just going to be one more addition to a massive, massive pool that has untapped potential for us. And I say that because, again, we're trying to staff up to the point, again, even post-COVID, that we have the resources to kind of sift through everything that we have.
Yeah, it makes sense. Christina, how about on your end?
Yeah, no, for sure relate to that. Part of the exercise we're going through right now is kind of what John talked about. It's almost auditing all of the data that we do have and make sure that we are able to action it and that the right people are seeing what they need to. I think this year in particular, as all of us are struggling more with getting people in the building and for all sorts of reasons beyond our control, this has become increasingly a valuable tool to make sure that we're absolutely offering the right offer at the right time to the right person. And so never before has this been more valuable. But the other side of this, I think, is that widening of the funnel, which opportunities like this will do, and really again finding that next generation of fan or a new segment that we can bring in the fold and make an offer to get them engaged in whatever way that looks like, whether it's tuning into a broadcast or actually hopefully coming to a game or buying a piece of merch. All of this, fandom looks so different every single year, and you have to make sure that your brand and your team is everywhere that fandom is in order to realize on that opportunity. I think COVID taught us how important that is, and to just rely on that one source isn't going to work going forward.
Well, it's such a fascinating topic of conversation and so nuanced, especially as we aim to grow and we initiate new activities to do so. And I'd say within our four walls, a couple examples on our end. I gave the NFT one. Recently, we've done merchandise collaborations with Drew House and OVO, and what we've similarly found is we're attracting a new type of fan. And I guess we have these moments of inflection to say, have we attracted a new fan, or have we created an opportunity to establish fandom within a new person? And sometimes I think that what that would require us to do is be really in touch with where they came from, understand who they are and where their interests lie, and then start to build for that individual and their, consumption habits as it relates to your property, because it may be considerably different than your core fan who watches every game, follows you on every digital channel. I'm curious, where your mind goes as you think about it through that lens.
Yeah, well, you really have to take away the bias of what you think a sports fan is. Like, is it only somebody who watches your game or comes to or watches you on TV? Because if that's what you think a sports fan is, good luck with the future on that. So again, are they a fan if they're wearing that cool OVO Raptors, collaborative jersey, and that's all they do? I think they are, and we have to respect that. If it, or if they're watching a alternative play-by-play on Twitch, I think they are. Again, it doesn't look like the way necessarily we grew up with sports, but we have to understand that is just not the world anymore, and that's kind of cool, and it's fun for makes it fun for us who work in the space.
We could probably have an entire session on what is a fan today, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Fulfillment, community, gratification. I mean, literally, you could just start and stop there. But lots to discuss and debate, and lots of ways in, as we suggested. John, I'm curious from your perspective. We've come out of a really difficult business climate, and as we innovate or even exercise our traditional practices, I'd argue, and maybe you'd agree or not, there's more attention now on commercialization than ever before, hopefully in a smart, fan-first way. But as you jump into NFTs, as you think about digital innovation, marketable contacts, anything hovering around these discussions here, I'm curious from your chair where your mind goes as far as increased accountability on commercialization and the role you and your team are having to help drive that within the organization.
I mean, look, I think we're all in the middle of it right now with the jersey sponsorship that's coming up and opening up for NHL clubs starting next year. So I know certainly at our group, that's an area that we're looking at when we're approaching potential partners in that space and showing them how, if they're associating with our jersey, it's more than a patch on a jersey. Obviously, it needs to be. It needs to be engagement. It needs to be a win for fans in some capacity. It needs to be a win for the community. It needs to be showing that there's a benefit for everybody, and that invariably is involving activation on the digital front. And, when it comes to what we're doing on the digital front as well, I think that it's critical to just keep exploring all of these opportunities, because to Christina's point, fans today and the youth, especially in Montreal, that we saw come out during our Stanley Cup run, that were all, circling the Bell Center when there were no fans alive in the building in the playoffs initially. This is a generation that consumes differently. This is a group, frankly, that kind of is obviously connected to mobile devices, engaged on platforms that we couldn't even fathom 5-6 years ago. So if you're wanting to connect with them, if you're wanting to retain them, if they come to the club, whether it's through a Stanley Cup run or a merchandise collaboration or whatever, you kind of need to be in their space and you need to be experimenting. And I think we should all be humble and know that we're not going to hit a home run every time that we swing, but let's try stuff and see what works. And the opportunities are incredible. And again, I think COVID has forced a lot of teams, if not all teams, to get more creative in how they engage with people.
Yeah, no question about that. And Christina, from your end, you're wearing the brand and the commercial hat within the organization. How do you look at it from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely necessary. I like how John sort of phrased it. Instead of constantly expecting the fan to come to you, we have to go to where they are, and understand that this is a two-sided relationship. If we are expected to monetize this and bring our sponsors in to connect with them, we have to respect the fan and what they're doing there and provide value back. And so that's constantly the question that I want to ask ourselves, is that we're doing that this isn't one-sided, that what we're creating, what we're building, what we choose to invest our time with is truly enhancing somebody's life and enjoyment of their interactions with the Winnipeg Jets, and that's the lens we all need to look at this for. And I've just seen time and time again in my experience that when you do that, it pays dividends for you. On the two things that I think are just most important to my role, which is increasing fandom and then revenue on that side. So I don't know. Yeah, but it is. It takes time. And I think that's where we get all a bit tripped up as we're looking at business cases and understanding, like, again, this is way more fragmented than we ever thought it would be. And to do these things well, whether it's developing, a mobile app or a video game or your digital arena, like it takes a tremendous amount of resources. So, we're always looking for partners that we can partner with on this. And we work with you guys, we work with a company called FanX on some things that just makes that spreads out that investment a little bit.
I think just be open-minded, right? In everything we do, don't be judgmental about anything. And I think it could be a trap any of us potentially fall into, is that you see some new trend coming along, you're like, oh my God, like what is this? NFTs, really? Like how dumb is this? Paying money to own a photo, like a digital photo, or TikTok, like what's that? Or like who's watching this stuff on Twitch? Like, but be open-minded, get in there, see what people are doing, and allow yourself to be surprised. I suggest that like probably all of us have decades of experience, but like hire young staff who bring fresh perspectives to our groups and like listen to them when they talk. When it comes to NFTs, what was Napster? What was the iTunes store really? But kind of music going from the physical to digital, and people buying it and then collecting digital songs. I mean, it's maybe not a perfect comparison, but what are NFTs now? Instead of buying cards that are physical, you're buying things that are digital, and people are proud to display them and have their digital wallets on MetaMask or whatever, and showcase their collection on OpenSea. Like this is what people are doing today, and there's nothing wrong with it, because this is what people were doing in a different form 10, 15 years ago.
All you have to do, if you have kids, all you have to do is watch your kids. Like not all you have to do. You have to do a lot of other stuff too. But yeah, the amount of real money I've spent on virtual things is insane. Like people are paying for admission to a virtual concert on Fortnite. People are paying for virtual outfits and collectibles on Roblox, and in a way, and they find a tremendous amount of value in this, and so that's what we're dealing with now, and if you can understand that, there's tremendous amount of opportunity around that.
The metaverse is upon us wherever we are, and I guess that leads me into my next question. We've all sort of been quite open about this being like dipping our toe into a new space and learning as we go. That said, we sit in chairs where I think we're encouraged to dream about where we'd like things to be in the future. We understand that technology can be an enabler of that. So, John, where do you go from here? What do you aspire, to accomplish with respect to engaging your fans, enabling through technology? What does the future hold in the world of the Montreal Canadiens?
I mean, there's so much I still need to read about the metaverse and the possibilities that exist within. But I think certainly you have to be excited and curious about the way connectivity will be enabled for fans in this space moving forward. So how that's going to look, I would be arrogant to suggest I know, but from everything I'm reading, it's exciting, and I don't know that it'll be your parents or your grandparents who were in there right away. Even though, again, I guess that's being somewhat judgmental, but like clearly the future ticket buyers to our venues, the future consumers of our merchandise are going to be playing in this space. I look forward to seeing what we can do with that. I mean, certainly, enabling, blockchain purchases of tickets, and whether you're even tying NFTs to that, and whether kind of you're securing a position within a metaverse for all that, all your ticket buyers, your season ticket holders, your suite holders. I think it's going to be remarkable, and it's just awe-inspiring the amount of information we're going to need to kind of sift through again to kind of understand this. But I'm excited about it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like if I were to answer that question too, don't you just want to create what we had in a different format, which are those emotional connections between a fan and your team, and you want this to be a platform which secures the future for your team in your community, which may physically be your city, but will also, I guess, be the metaverse as well. But the fundamentals of it are still the same. It's just understanding that for, again, that next generation of sports fan, their emotional connection may come in something that doesn't look like the collection of hockey cards or going to a game with your dad, and that's okay. But let's still try to make sure that this fundamentally connects with our brand and the game, and because that's the thing that will allow us to be a strong part of the ecosystem going forward.
And ideally minus the toxicity, right, that you see in like traditional social media in areas too, because that's the one thing that we don't necessarily control. Like you can control, again, physically the four walls and inside your building. If things go awry, you can control that. But outside these other spaces that we're creating, it's a bit of the Wild West, and certainly fans invading other team areas and trolling and all the rest. And again, I'll just be curious to see how this can be managed to the degree that we have any control over it.
Yeah. I'll bring it back to where we started, a little bit more tactical, but with respect to your NFT launches, activation on the Drop Shop platform, I'm curious to understand what brought the two of you into this space, and ultimately, of all the places that you can build strategy and ultimately launch into the marketplace, why Drop Shop? Christina, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, is just a comfort level that, even though we're all competitors on the ice, there's a tremendous amount of collaboration and communication between the Canadian clubs off the ice, and we knew that you guys were had the same sort of objectives that we did around this, and there was just a level of trust. We're all in the days and months ahead, and it's a great position to be in. We're going to be inundated by consultants and companies coming in this space, and maybe, with that and more understanding, different decisions will be made. But right now, it just made sense, and with the endorsement of John and his team, there's just a comfort level that made us move forward.
And I mean, look, at our end, I think one of our strengths is we know what we know and we know what we don't know generally. And we knew that we didn't know NFTs. Certainly at the start of this calendar year, hopefully we're a little bit more informed now. But when we were first exploring this, February, March of 2021, there were no experts in the Montreal Canadiens organization that I'm aware of in the NFT space. And we quickly kind of learned about what you folks were doing at MLSE, the resources you have, the months, if not years of development that you had been putting into this. And, the fact that, to Christina's point, off the ice, we get along, we're cool. And, I think the fact that you guys have skin in the game, because this is going to be bearing your signature as the developer, and obviously you're wanting to do well with the Raptors and the Leafs properties and everything else on there. We knew that you weren't just some fly-by-night company coming along trying to sell us on a solution that, were they here for the long haul or not. We had confidence in you guys, and it's worked out. We've been happy with our choice, to say the least.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And we're cool for now, John. We'll see how we're doing rolling into April and May. I feel like this could go forever. I've come to learn that the three of us can chat about the business of sports for a very, very long time. As we wind down here, I jotted down kind of 4 key points that really motivated me, keeps me centered on, the purpose of what we do. And I think when you work in our space and you start with purpose, set your goals, and then build your strategy and execution, you're in a pretty good spot. Christina, I loved the commentary that you had around putting the fan first and never losing sight of that. There are lots of different things out there, inside, outside of our businesses, that can distract us from that point. But I think we all know every day we wake up and we exist in a very special place that brings people together, that elevates them during great times, tough times, and then has a voice that can influence beyond the ice and the venues that we operate. And there's a ton of pride that exists there. So for as long as we cherish the connection and the privilege that we have in those fan relationships and treat them appropriately, I think we're going to be in a great spot in building those communities. Really that notion of not taking anything for granted along the way. John, you made the comment of being excited and curious. Get out there. There are trends and behaviors in the marketplace that are new. Let's not be shy to engage with them. And see what that might mean for us or not mean for us. We get in quick and get out quick potentially, or get in and let it grow when our fans prove to us that this is a space that's interesting for them. Christina, you made a comment about, I guess, playing off of the earlier point of fan first, but just how important emotional connections are. And that led me to write down that technology is not a strategy, it's an enabler of a strategy. And when it comes to putting our fans ahead of everything else, technology can do amazing things to open up the art of the possible, but we've got to stay true to who we are. And I'd argue 100 years from now, our strategy in the way of fan engagement at the top of the pyramid should be unchanged. Just maybe our philosophy on how we get there will, as the world around us evolves. And then maybe the last one is now more than ever, dream big. Have a perspective on where we want to go and what we believe we can accomplish, because the tools at our disposal to make things happen that maybe we never could have before are right in front of us and will increasingly be so, to drive that engagement, to shape change, and to be as meaningful as we possibly can around the brands that we operate. So I'm fired up, if you can't tell, on the way out of this thing. Christina, John, thank you so much for taking the time. And to our friends at Sport Techie, again, thank you so much for having us. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
See ya.